Hey Roadies, this is Adriana from Roadie Free Radio. In this episode, Larry talks to writer, filmmaker, and fellow podcaster Joel Miller. Joel is a jack of all trades when it comes to the entertainment industry. He's worked art in the film industry for numerous feature films, went on to the music industry to work with acts like Poison to Billy Idol, and has been on the road touring with some amazing artists such as Stone Temple Pilots, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Guns N' Roses, and several more. In this short clip, Larry talks to Joel about his first time touring as a roadie. His first gig is all thanks to his dad's mechanic shop. 3 days later, Joel was flown out to join the Stone Temple Pilots tour where he focused on carpeting. If you want to hear more about Joel, make sure to check out the full episode number 176 from April 4th, 2022. Thank you for listening and thank you for subbing. Here are Larry and Joel.
Yeah, so I did a few films, and then this guy, my father was a car mechanic, and this guy brought his car to. My dad did special cars, mostly Jaguars, and then European stuff.
Sure.
And this guy had brought his car to get fixed, and he needed a grunt. He needed a guy to like put all the crap up and do a lot of the work. And I had worked art department and film, so I was like, oh yeah, I can handle it. I don't know how much they correlate, but it didn't hurt. And so he's like, well, you come on the road with me. And that was STP. And I thought he was full of shit, man. I thought he was full of crap. But nope. It was like 3 days later, I was on an airplane. My parents were so glad I was out of their house.
No shit.
And then,
so who was the
guy? His name is Lee Gibson. So he's an LD.
Okay.
And he did Santana for years, STP. He did Manson, Rob Zombie, a lot of Rob Zombie. He's a good guy.
That's awesome. So he just plucked you out of this car mechanic place, your dad's spot.
Yeah, if he wanted his car done, he had to hire me. So
nice.
So we became friendly too. He was a good boss. So he brought me on, and then I just wasn't very good, is the truth. And but I had heart. I was trying to do good. And so I worked my little ass off, and it was a good gig.
So your first gig was assisting the LD for STP in 97, 98.
No. So the STP gig was in 2000, I think. The first gigs, and I guess I would have been their carpenter when I started, because I was like setting up the stage stuff, and then I was helping with the lighting. And then we brought on a proper lighting guy, and then I wasn't doing as much of the lighting, but instead just focusing on being a carpenter.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So then you do that for several years. A lot of big bands. You're bouncing.
Yeah.
And
just bouncing around, taking whatever gigs you can get, and learning the way.
Yep. And then and then you decided that's enough. I'm out.
It's hard. I got lonely. I didn't want to be an old, bitter roadie.
Yep.
Now I'm just an old, bitter, not roadie, but I didn't want to be an old, bitter roadie. A lot of the guys I was touring with were AA guys, so I didn't want to be like, if you're married and you never see your kids. And the one thing I was well aware of is I was still really young. I was only like 24, 25. I only toured for like 4 years.
Got it.
So I was never a lifer by any means. So I knew that at that age I could go find other stuff, but I would have to do it now, to figure out another career. And I loved Guns N' Roses. Like I loved them. And so when I toured with them, I sort of felt like I got to the top of the ladder that I had wanted to climb. But I was lonely. I don't know. And so I left, and then I made my movie.
What'd you do for GNR?
Carpenter.
Okay. So that was the thing you stayed in, doing the carpenter stuff.
Yeah, carpenter or lighting. I did some stuff with lighting. So with Poison, I was a lighting guy. Mm-hmm. And the problem with lights is, how it is now is different, and I genuinely don't know that now. Yep. But how back then is the damn lights break all day.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there all day fixing icons or whatever you're using. And when I was a carpenter, I set the shit up and I'm done. So I preferred to be a carpenter. And but I take whatever you can get, man. I just wanted to get gigs, learn the ropes, and stay on the road. I liked it.
Yeah. So you like the travel part. Did you ever think like, well, maybe I can translate some of these skills over to the film side and, work as a key grip or any of those things? Or?
No, I didn't care about that because I honestly wasn't that handy. It's not like I don't know how to swing a hammer still.
Yeah.
But what I did learn, and it's very important, and it definitely helped in film, and I think it helped in life, was, I say a lot, all things aren't learned in school. And so a lot of these roadies, they taught me life. They taught me how to manage people is really important. So the biggie would be, oh my God, we have a major issue, blah, 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 blah. And I'm kind of like, well, I had a major issue with Guns N' Roses, so that was worse. And anything is solvable. That's very big. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy I bring up in my podcast quite a bit. His name was Rigger Dan. And Rigger Dan was a fucking lunatic, to be honest with you. And one of the premier, finest riggers, I think, who's ever been around. The guy was amazing. And he was very good for me, because he was very funny. But two, he was very forceful in trying to steer me on my way to, I say, becoming a man. But I don't know if it's necessarily that. It's just if you want to be successful, you've got to learn certain things. You have to be able to work with people. And you got to be understanding. You got to be patient. And a lot of the time, you got to make sure what you need done is finished, regardless of what they say or what you got to do or whatever. Oftentimes it's just shutting up, and then they finish the job. And instead of saying, okay, I'm never hiring you again, you douchebag, you just smile and go, that was a fine job. And then you never hire them again because they're fucking douchebag.
Right.
Like you. We would never bring me back on the podcast. You'd be like, what a douchebag.
Exactly.
But you wouldn't tell me because that'd be rude.
No, I never tell you to your face. Definitely not.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell me
I spend enough time.
Totally
I spend enough time in LA. I know how it works.
Yeah, out here we're so bad.
Oh, man.
It's so true, It could be like David Lee Roth doing a one-off in a friggin' bar and be like, he was better 20 years ago. You're a fucking asshole.
It's fucking crazy, dude. I mean, I remember when I moved back in 2008, it was, spending more time back here, and I'd go to meetings and stuff, potential jobs. And at this point, because when I was out there, I did music, I was an actor, and then I made, a few shorts and all that kind of stuff. And so I was in that world, and I was a PA for a while at the beginning to support the music. And so, and film was my first love. Anyway, but I remember when I came back here and started to get job offers here and to do things, I was behind the scenes at that point. And, on the East Coast, you got it's a fucking 30-minute meeting. And the first 5 minutes are like, yeah, how's the weather? Yeah, it's fucking raining again. Oh, it's terrible. Great. Okay, listen, Larry, it's not going to work out. We talked about it. We're going to go in a different direction. Whatever it is, money's not there. Great, okay? But we're going to keep you in mind for the next one. Thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it. That's it. You're fucking done. L.A., it's
nice.
like 45 minutes. You're talking about the weather and the this and the that. And, yeah, man, we're just
And you're 45 minutes late in the beginning.
And you're fucking 45 minutes late in the beginning and all this shit. And then you leave the meeting. You don't know if you got it. You don't know if you didn't get it. You don't know.
And then everything you did. Wow. I mean, I can't believe that you would call me in for this, because this right here, this script is the finest writing ever. Like Edgar Allan Poe would be like amazed at your ass.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah. You are so good, Larry. You're just amazing. We're going to go in a different direction.
So amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway.
why, what was it? Tropic Thunder. Remember Tropic Thunder? Fire that fucking guy.
Exactly. Oh,
so
my
good.
God. So when you sort of got out, like, what are you doing now? I mean, I know you're running one of the world's biggest podcasts.
We want to take massive podcasts. Yeah, huge following.
Yeah.
Huge following.
Yeah. Take it from one huge podcaster to the next. I get it.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah. That Joe Rogan guy. I'm taking his place on Spotify.
Woo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it could be for the taking.
Mess around. Yeah,
It could be for the taking.
Huh?
It could be for the taking. You never know.
I don't know. I think he's in a different class. He's a different league. See, that guy, man, he fucked us all because he talks for like 4 hours a day.
I mean,
so after listening to him, who the hell's going to want to listen to our stupid asses?
Right? Maybe that's the game. It's like just have a longer podcast than Joe Rogan. Like go 6 hours.
It's hard. I don't know how long you go. So mine, I went once like 2 hours.
Oh, no.
You're 1 hour. So I'm 1 hour now. No. But I had Snake Sable on for like 5 hours talking about wrestling. So I had to take breaks.
I did one early on with a fantastic woman, lap steel guitarist, Cindy Cashdollar, up in Woodstock. It's like I made the drive up there. I sat with her. It ended up being like 2 hours. It's a 2-part episode. But, share a little, behind the scenes podcaster shit. You look at the numbers of part 2, and they're not as strong as part 1. You're like, well, I'm not going to do that again because you got to have somebody who's really compelling. Not that she's not. I'm just saying, like, you need something.
Yeah, but that's
serious.
a lot of listening time for some. That's why you can't blame them. I think the average is 15 minutes is what people. I had one I did. It was great, and it was before I started, and I was interviewing the book. I did a ton of these for my book, and then I started the podcast after. And the guy was a really nice guy, and he's talking to me, and I'm like, so can I ask a question? He's like, yeah. So how many people listen to this thing? And he's like, well, we had double on the last one that we had before. Well, that's great, man. So what was it? We had one. Hey, well, from small beginnings, brother. From small beginnings. So that was great. I did another one that was amazing. I can't remember who they were, but they were in Scotland. And in the middle of them was a washing machine. The washing machine was running while they were talking to me. And I said to them, so if it's boring, at least you get the wash done. And they're like, oh, no, we don't usually start it. I'm like, you should call it doing the wash. And you just do the washing every time. So if the guy sucks, you're like, well, that's the wash done.
Right. That's the time limit, right? It's 25 or 30 minutes. As soon as the later, we're good. We're all set.
You had time to talk about cool movies. You didn't.
Hey, what's happening, roadies? It's Larry here. Just wanted to thank you so much for listening to this short clip. I really hope you got something out of it. If you can take 2 seconds to head over to iTunes and drop us a review or a comment, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Keep listening, keep coming back, stay healthy out there, and remember, no roadies, no rock and roll.